morning on this gardening tip, I want to talk just a minute about this little guy, asparagus. If you're like I was, asparagus was a total mystery. Where does this thing even come from, and how do you grow it in your garden? There's actually three ways to plant asparagus in your garden to start it out, and it's something that you can't be impatient about. Because it's going to take quite a while to get asparagus to grow, and we can talk about that in just a moment. The three ways to plant asparagus, though, are you can either do it one from seeds, which is the longest method. The second method is you can do it from a transplant, and you can take a small started plant that's maybe 3 to 4 inches tall and transplant that in your garden. And then the third step, which is the most likely way to get asparagus, is to go to the nursery and to buy what's called a crown. A crown is usually a fleshy, it's a knot of roots that you put right down into the ground, and from that crown it's got a good healthy start, and as you water that, as it gets sun, then you're eventually going to get some nice asparagus spears. So this morning I wanted to just start by some of these transplants, what they can look like. And I want to thank my friend Jean Bergen, who supplied me with these. She's got over 300 plants out on her garden, and these just naturally started coming up as recruits. And you see these fronds here that are nice and wavy. They're real delicate. And you want to be careful about how you grow these and when you transplant them. If you're going to start from seeds, to get to this point takes about 10 to 12 weeks. So what you're looking at, if you think about the time value of gardening, and we're going to talk about time value in gardening in an upcoming segment, consider the fact that if you're going to do it from seeds, you're going to lose about another year to get to this point. But let's take this young seedling out here, and we're going to put this adjacent to an established asparagus. I don't have too much asparagus, and I'm really kind of a novice at this because it's sort of trial and error. But my asparagus plant here is about 7 years old. We planted this just as we moved in here. And you're probably wondering, well, where's the plant? Well, the plant is under here. It's a big root system, and you see nicely here one frond, and it's making a crown at the top here, and another one way over here. And if I come around here, you can see this little guy just right here. This guy right here was not here 2 days ago. And these two were not visible 4 days ago. So it's almost comical when you get a good asparagus plant growing, because these fronds will grow 4 to 8 inches a day. And so once you get this going, you're going to be able to harvest quite a few spears, both in the early spring, and then here in Arizona later in the fall, if you water it and nurture it, it's going to start giving spears again in the later fall. Now you may be wondering what this is, this tall frond thing. That's actually part of the asparagus plant as well, and that plant not so long ago was one of these. So you may be realizing, yes, these fronds will each turn into one of these ferns if you don't cut them and pick them. Now the reason I left this one frond, and again this is a frond here in this new plant, is the frond is what gives the plant its strength. So each year I'll let one frond go. This will eventually flower, and those flowers is what will make those seeds that you can buy in the nursery in the little packets. So don't be impatient. The bad news is when you plant the crown, which again is the fleshy net you can buy at the nursery, and those are available right about now. If you go to Home Depot, it'll be in a water protectant bag, and you just take that little net of root out of the bag, dig a little spot about 6 inches deep and put that down. The important thing is to just let that get going. But back on the bad news, it's going to take about 3 years for you to start getting fronds like this. You will get really skinny ones that will hopefully blossom like this, because that is going to make your root system grow well and make your plant stronger for the next year. So don't be tempted to start cutting the very first ones off. You need that root system to frond so that it gets strength. The good news about this is this plant will be your friend for about 20 years at least. So this one's 7 years old. It's starting to make really good asparagus, and we should be able to enjoy this for a lot of years to come. So the important thing is just get this in the ground. I wouldn't put seeds in the ground. They're not going to work real well. If you want to grow it in a cup like this with seeds, then you need to do it in a greenhouse. You need to protect it from the heat and the elements. And after it gets about this size, maybe after 6 weeks to 10 weeks, then you can go ahead and transplant it. Now when you harvest these, you want to just get down below. You want to cut below the surface. You cut that off, take out your frond that you want to eat. That kind of helps seal the plant so it doesn't lose moisture. And there you go. In 3 or 4 days, I'm probably going to have another couple spears coming up. A lot more to enjoy. Thanks for joining in.